What's up, guys? So this is going to be a pretty long video, and the only reason that is because there's so much information in it. If you're not willing to watch a 45-minute video to completely transform your life, then maybe you're not as ready for change as you actually think you are. Stick to the end because I promise it is worth it, and it only makes sense if you understand the whole thing. But yeah, I've put a lot of effort into developing this system through trial and error, sweat and tears. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, welcome guys. This is going to be a very special video. I'm going to provide a ton of high value information and hopefully break everything down to you in a way that actually makes sense in how I completely transform my mindset and gain 20 kilos of muscle without sacrificing my entire life. I still do the things I enjoy, right? How did I get here? Well, like many of you watching, I'm sure, I spent years stuck in endless inconsistency, bad habits, and I just felt like I had absolutely zero direction. Like I genuinely didn't know what to do with my life. I was spending, 6 to 8 hours a day playing video games, just vaping, with the curtains closed, doing nothing. I was failing school. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was depressed, and I was smoking weed. I was drinking on the weekends. I don't know, man. It was a crazy time in my life. And I'm sure some of you have been there too. That almost endless pit where you just feel like you don't have any belief that you can do anything you want to. We're going to completely break that cycle with this video. I realized that the best way I could gain control over my own life was to prove to myself that I could change in any way that I want to. And the best way to do that is by getting the physique of your dreams. But that has to start with the mindset. Anyone that you've seen who has been successful with their physique has started by developing their mindset. Your lifestyle will never exceed your level of personal development. I want you to remember that, okay? You can have the perfect workout program. You can have the perfect diet plan, but none of it's going to matter if you don't have the mindset or the consistency systems to actually back it up. And that's exactly what I'm going to break down that I built through trial and error. So I tried working out after this. Something snapped and I was like, fucking hell, I really have to do something. So I started working out. A few weeks later, straight back at square one, straight back doing the old habits that I didn't like. Playing video games, smoking weed. I was depressed. I really was. Because I didn't understand actual consistency systems and things like underlying motivation. How to program my mind to be a certain way. Didn't understand any of it. So, like most people, you try working out for a little bit, and then it starts to slow down. Then you just completely fall off altogether, wondering why you're so demotivated. That's it. I've been there, right? So we're gonna break through that. What I am about to go through took me years and years of studying motivation, consistency, and training systems to perfect this, right? So go and grab a pen and paper and write all of this stuff down because it is going to change your life if you apply it properly. First off, who is this video for? If you've always had high visions for yourself, but you're just completely sick of the place you're in and the way you look, this video is for you. If you feel like your mind has control over you rather than you having control over it, I've had that feeling before. This video is for you. If you find yourself always saying, I'll start tomorrow morning, Monday morning, better even January 1st, this video is for you. I've been there. If you realize that you need to upgrade yourself to see the life that you envision, this is the video for you. Who is this video not for? If you want any quick hacks, any fads, any trends to make this happen overnight, click off. Go and watch the latest influencer, I don't care. Okay, this video is not for you. There are no shortcuts to completely transforming your life, but with this system, we'll do it as quickly as possible. If you're only interested in having the looks without building the mindset that guarantees it, this video is not for you. If you're looking for a one-time fix, just get ready for the summer, and then I'll relax. Just do this, just do that, and then I'll relax. This video isn't for you. We're talking about actual life change, where we change our self-identity, we change our belief systems, we enhance our underlying motivations. We build systems that last. That is exactly what we're going to do. So if you want just a one-time fix, click off this video. If you're happy in your current state, you're happy being this unmotivated, semi-depressed person where you feel like you have zero consistency or self-belief, this video isn't for you. Here's the truth. Society and social media make us think that motivation is something you either have or don't. And I get it, because influencers make it look that way. They make everything look so fucking perfect. This is objectively false. You can turn motivation on and off like a light switch if you do it properly. And the result, when you gain full autonomy over your motivational part of your brain, is your physique and mindset starts to just completely transform quicker than you could ever think. I'm telling you from personal experience, all of the actual progress I've made has been after I've mastered the mindset systems. That's it. The thing is though, most men with high level vision aren't capable of doing this because they don't understand mental programming. If they did, they wouldn't be filling their brain with mind-numbing crap like TikTok or Instagram Reels all day long, endless scrolling bullshit foods. They definitely would not be getting drunk on the weekends, wouldn't be smoking up on the weekends. But we're not going to let the modern world actually destroy your potential. In fact, we're going to push back against it. So if you want to be this person, I will show you exactly how to, 1, build consistency systems that actually last and keep you showing up for yourself every single day, even when you don't feel like it. 2, simplify fast and effective muscle gain to the point where you could do it half asleep. You could do it with your eyes closed, because that's the objective. We want to be as effective as possible with as little mental energy as possible. And people look at me like I'm crazy when I say I only work out 4 days a week, right? This isn't supposed to take up all of your time. 3, master motivation and mindset to guarantee your high visions. This isn't just about physique and mindset. This is about everything, right? Everything that you want of your life is dependent on building a mindset that allows it. Please just remember that. Everything that you want is dependent on having a mindset that allows it to take place. And number 4, do all of that without sacrificing what you think is actually important in your life. Without sacrificing spending time with family, spending time with friends, doing the things that you enjoy. When I talk about doing the things that you enjoy, I'm talking about actually enjoy as a person, not just going and getting drunk all the time. That's trying to escape something. It's not actual enjoyment. And the system that I use is my own personal framework, which I have built through endless trial and error. I've tried all of this shit. And because of that, I've removed all of the bullshit from the process and only left in the effective shit. That's it. And the thing is, this works for everyone, not just me. All of my clients who use this system see rapid change. So if you haven't already, go and grab a pen and fucking paper and write every single part of this down. I'm being serious. Right, let's get into it. Step 1, stage 1. Underlying motivation. Now you see this picture on the side here. This is me when I was 17 years old, right? This picture doesn't look like much. Obviously it's a mugshot. I look like a fucking idiot because I was half asleep. I was also high on fucking weed. I was drunk and I was depressed. I didn't know what I was doing. I had zero fucking direction. And this picture looks really shallow, but you can see in my eyes what is going on in my mind. I was high, so nothing was running properly. But you can see that there's just nothing there at that point in my life. I used to just live in this constant state of highs and lows in motivation where you just feel completely locked in, like you want to completely change everything one week and then next week, straight back to old habits. I was straight back to vaping, playing video games all day, doing the shit that I didn't actually enjoy but helped me escape from the fact that I was basically failing school and I didn't know what I was doing. Back to all of those old habits. You know exactly what I'm talking about when I say endless highs and lows in motivation. I completely lost trust in my ability to achieve the goals I had because I had no evidence to say that I would change. Eventually it just becomes an all-consuming pit of negativity where you question if you should even start trying again. I get it, I've been there. So here's what I actually implemented over time to combat the low and unclear motivation, that volatile motivation that keeps on going up and down. Why do you want this? Seriously, I'm asking from a serious standpoint, why do you fucking want this, right? I'm going to introduce you to something called push-pull motivation. Imagine this is you right here. I want you to look at my camera. Imagine this is you. Behind you, you have the past pain. In front of you, you have the ideal future. Now, if you set this motivation system up properly, it should feel like the past pain is always pushing you forward, and the ideal future is always pulling you forward. And the key to this actually working is you need to vividly envision both of these scenarios, right? Actually vividly envision them. And what I mean by that is, for example, with the ideal future, what does that ideal future actually look like for you? Where are you? What does your body look like? How do you feel? What place are you in? You need exact specifics, so it almost feels like when you imagine it, when you almost run that movie in your mind, it feels like you're there and you have that feeling flow throughout your body. What does that feel like to be there? Where are you? What do you look like? Who are you with? You need exact specifics to imagine how this scenario looks so that you can run it in your mind like as a movie where it feels like you're there. And then the exact same for the past pain. What was the point in time that made you think, fuck, I just have to completely change and upgrade my life? What point in time was that? Right? How did that feel? Where were you? And this is something that's already actually happened in real life. Where were you? What was that point in time? Make it feel vivid, like you're actually there, and then embed the feeling from that scenario. For me, for example, when I think back to past pain, it's just me sat at my desk playing video games for like 8 hours, vaping all day with the curtains closed. I envision it and I feel what it's like to be there, feel that my brain is just filled with dopamine, and I'm just depressed. And I'm doing it day after day. That is the movie that I run in my mind. And it pushes me forward. I feel that, and I almost feel disgusted by it. And that's fine. That's fine, because you don't want to be there anymore. That's okay to feel disgusted by it. But it's pushing me forward. And the same with the ideal future. I'll get personal, right? I have huge fitness goals in place. I have huge business goals in place. When I think about these movies in my mind, in one of them, I'm cycling alongside a lake in Austria doing an Ironman, because I do hybrid training, right? In one of them, I'm climbing a mountain with one of my best mates. In another, I'm doing online fitness coaching on a beach in Corfu. In another, I'm powerlifting in the national championships. And when I run these movies in my mind, it feels like I'm there. And when I run them properly, the feeling of being there just spreads throughout my whole body. It's like I'm in the future, and it feels real. It feels like reality. This is so key. You need to have the specifics so that it feels like you're actually there, so that you can run these two things, the push and the pull, in your mind and have both of them move you in the same direction using different forms of motivation. And when I say down here, on command, what you need to do is almost create this as a habit in your mind to where, so for me now, when I wake up and I have zero motivation, maybe I've had a bad night's sleep and I don't have any energy to get up and do the things I need to do, I'm running those tapes in my mind instantly. And I'm just back there because I feel what it's like to be in both of those scenarios. I feel the parallel between them, and I'm being moved towards the ideal future by both of those factors. And eventually what happens if you do this for a long enough period of time, like every single day, when you have the push and you have the pull, it just becomes deeply embedded in your mind, and it almost just happens automatically. It happens automatically when I feel low on motivation. I don't even need to think about it. The tapes are just running automatically, right? But first off, you need to do it in a way that you're consciously thinking about it, because you haven't developed that habit yet. So you need to apply this consciously for a good few weeks before you start to find it just happening automatically. And that's okay, because it will happen automatically. You just need to do it consciously first. But just think about those two scenarios. Imagine yourself there. Run the tape on command. Stage 2, programming yourself. Now, this is something just absolutely fundamental and incredible, which no one talks about nearly as much as they should. I guarantee you could go on any of the other fitness coaches' YouTubes or Instagrams or whatever. None of them are talking about the ways that you can actually mentally program yourself to just be a consistency animal, right? So this is what we're going to do. I realized that whilst having huge underlying motivation with the push and the pull was great, it was a huge part of the puzzle, but it would mean nothing unless I was just able to shape my mind in a way that I was actually programmed to just show up for myself every single day. And this is exactly what I was talking about. I conquered mental programming. I did it, right? And I do it every single day using specific techniques. So let me break it down for you. The thing is with programming is everything in your life is programming you to be a certain way, whether you realize it or not. Absolutely everything. I'm dead serious. Because what happens is your subconscious mind is almost like this AI model that is constantly absorbing information. And with that information, it creates like a model of reality that determines the way you think about life and yourself. So if all of the programming around me, every single thing around me is telling me that I'm a depressed piece of shit, is telling me that I'm inconsistent, telling me that I'm always going to be unmotivated, then guess what? I will be. I will be, and I'll have no self-belief in my ability to change. But on the flip side of that, if everything surround me, all of the subconscious programming is constantly telling me I'm just completely locked in. I'm dialed in on my goals. I'm dialed in on progress. I'll start to believe it. And the same will happen with you. And I do believe it, right? Because I'm surrounded by all of these factors that are programming me to act in a certain way. Now, I break this down into inputs, habits, and environment. Now, inputs is everything that you consume, whether that's social media, food, alcohol, literally everything that you consume is part of that programming. Programs you to be a certain way. If you scroll all day and you're watching high dopamine bullshit all day, if you watch Netflix all day, you are programming yourself to just be lazy, right? Because it's such high dopamine. You just see these people doing basically nothing online, and it starts to create a world model about yourself and about reality. With the habits, it's slightly different, okay? So the way that your habits program you is they basically provide evidence that your life is a certain way. Now, that's because of this thing here, future outlook and the evidence game. So what the habits do is, so your subconscious mind is constantly trying to predict exactly what is going to happen in the future. And if all of the habits, all of the things you are doing in this moment are saying that you're on a downtrend, you're going downhill, you have no future, then that's exactly what your mind starts to think. And so you have no motivation. You have no motivation. You don't even feel like trying because you already think you're on that downhill path. But the thing is, this evidence, your mind can only predict that future based on what is happening now. Based on what is happening now in this moment, which means the second that you take action and you actually start to change and implement these systems, it shifts. You start to feel more motivated. You start to have more self-belief because your mind thinks, right, I'm on a different path now. I'm on a different path. I have more motivation. Trust me, I'm telling you from experience. This is exactly how it works with the evidence. Environments is slightly different. It's more similar to inputs. It's almost an extension of inputs. So let me put it this way, and this extends like social averages is also part of environments. So let me put it this way. If you spend enough time around 3 smokers, you will become the 4th. That's almost guaranteed. If you spend enough time around 3 smokers, you will become the 4th. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the people around you, the environment around you is telling you that the world is a certain way, telling you that your life is a certain way, exactly the same as the other 2 factors, but in a slightly different way. If you took the most disciplined person on the planet and put him in a crack house that was messy, moldy, there were drugs everywhere, they would get depressed, they would get undisciplined, and they'd probably start using. Now, if you put him in that crack house and then 15 other crack addicts in that house, he's gone. He's gone. He's just gonna become one of them. So you need to be positioning yourself in a place that guarantees you completely transform, guarantees that you change your identity as a person. Because the flip side of that is that, for example, if you were to place yourself in an environment where you were only surrounded by people who were training all the time, who were just really focused, really high vision, felt super had like so much self-belief in their ability to achieve goals, you would become the next one of those people. You would become exactly like them. And it's all to do with the environment. And you start to see how this programming game starts to add up. And it starts to slowly change your belief systems, change the way you think about yourself, change the way you think about achieving goals, and change the way you think about life altogether. I'm serious. Stage 3, the hard work habit. Now, our brains by default are programmed to take the path of least resistance on work that we think won't have an instant return. This is like the caveman part of our brain that's like, oh yeah, I'm super motivated to go and get food. I'm super motivated to go and have sex, right? This is that caveman part of our brain. We're not deeply motivated to do anything else naturally because we only see instant return. It's a completely different part of our brain that acts on like the slow return factors in our life, like gaining muscle, developing mindset, achieving actual goals that take a long time to get to. We're not naturally motivated to do that because we're programmed almost to take the path of least resistance every single time, because we as beings don't like pain. We don't like hardship. And that's just the way we are. But we can change it. We can change it using habits. So that's exactly what we're going to do. The thing you need to tell yourself whenever you find yourself taking the path of least resistance, and the more you get into this, the more you'll notice when you actually do that. The thing you need to tell yourself, the path of least resistance is actually the path of most resistance. You just don't realize it in the moment. But the thing is, if you take the path of least resistance every single time, it spirals and you do it more and more and more. And it has devastating long-term effects on the way you think, your mental state, the way you look, the way you feel. It all adds up. It's actually the path of most resistance because it will just make things worse for yourself down the line. And that's exactly what you need to tell yourself when you find yourself just taking the path of least resistance for the sake of it. And the way we get around that is this 1 second decision and self-awareness. Now, let me tell you what I personally do. So whenever I find myself just taking the path of least resistance, because we do it automatically a lot of the time if we're not actually thinking about it, is I'll take a step back for literally 1 second. I'll ask myself, well, why am I taking this path of least resistance? If it's some bullshit reason, which it will be 99% of the time, then I'm like, okay, well, I need to do the exact opposite right now. You have to do this process quickly, because the more time you spend thinking about it, the more your mind will come up with reasons not to do the hard thing. I'm telling you, when I was talking about trial and error over and over again, this is exactly what I mean. I realized that you have to make that decision quickly, otherwise your mind comes up with reasons not to do it. I'm sure you've seen that happen to yourself before. The more you think about something, the less chance there is of you actually doing it. It's like, imagine you're standing on a cliff, ready to jump into the sea, or like a short cliff, ready to jump into the sea, or into a pool or something. And I know you've been there before. The longer you wait to jump, the harder it gets. The harder it gets, because you're like, do I actually need to do that? But on the other side, if you walk up to that cliff and you just jump instantly, all that fear is gone and you're just stuck in it. And it's beautiful. It feels amazing. It feels exhilarating. And that's exactly how it feels with this too. You just have to make the hard choices. You just have to make the hard choices quickly and change your mind slowly. That's it. And this is completely reliant on you being self-aware of when you are taking the path of least resistance. I want you to be thinking about this as much as possible. Am I taking the path of least resistance? If so, why? Okay, change. Switch direction. Let me do the hard thing just for the sake of it being hard so I build that habit. This is exactly what you need to do. It does get easier, right? The more you develop your body, the more you develop your mind, the easier it gets. The things I do in my day-to-day life now might take other people immense amounts of mental strength to actually do. And that's just because I've been doing it for so long. But the thing is, if I were to stop pushing myself, stop pushing my capabilities, it would start to slowly go backwards. It would. Because this is almost like a skill, like the hard work habit that we talked about. If you're not moving forwards, at least in some way, you're probably moving backwards. That's just the reality. So it does get easier and you'll become happy. Like, I'm the happiest person in the world. I love my life. That I have an ideal future that I want to achieve, but I'm perfectly happy with where I am now, right? So it does get easier. You will feel at home with yourself. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to apply pressure, keep pushing myself, because if I did, I'll just be going back to my old self. And that's not what I want to be, right? And it's the exact same thing for you. So it will get easier, but at the same time, you'll get stronger. And so you can keep pushing yourself more. Stage 4, the daily consistency ritual. The problem is that all of these factors that uncover the overarching issues are great, but we need an actual ritual, a daily ritual that ties it all together and builds actual evidence and identity. We need something that we can do every day, a process that we can have every day to guarantee that this way of life stays in our mind, guarantees that we build as much evidence as we need to just completely transform our self-identity. And that's where this comes in. So we'll start off with habit streaks. All of the habits that you're going to do in the coming period of time, now that you've started to actually make change, all of them need to be tracked so that you can see the progress accumulate. Because what happens is most people, when they start working out, when they start developing themselves, is they don't track the progress and they're like, oh, well, I'm not sure if I've actually got that far at all, without realizing that they actually have. And so they lose motivation. But the thing is, with habit streaks, so the way I do it is I name the habit, I write it down on either my window, my mirror, or something else like a big piece of paper. And then I do an X for every single day that I do the habit. And what this does is, like, let's say I were to start a habit tomorrow. If I focused on, right, let me just get the first 20 days perfectly, by day 21, that habit is locked in. It's locked in place. Not just because I've been doing it so often, but because I can see that bank of 20 days where I was like, damn, I have all of this progress. And I'm not going to wake up on day 21 and be like, it's time to sacrifice all of this progress I built and just start going back to the old habits I had. It sounds weird, but that's how it works in your mind. When you can see the progress accumulate in real time from day to day, it becomes so much more powerful. It's the same as like tracking your weight when you're trying to gain weight or trying to lose weight. So you need to have habit streaks for all of these daily habits. The first one you need is a hard yet invigorating morning routine. Because what I realized over doing this, over all of the trial and error over the past few years, is that the start and the end of the day are the two most important parts of the day. And the reason is this: you can have anything bad happen in the day, but so long as you're able to get a morning routine and a nighttime routine in place that move you towards your goals, that cause you to reflect about your progress, reflect about your mindset development, your progress is almost guaranteed, and it doesn't matter if anything bad happens to you in the day, because the morning and the evening are most important. So the morning routine that you have has to include these two things. My morning routine has a few other things as well, and yours can have that too, but it has to include these two things. And the reason is, when you wake up, you remember we talked about that hard work habit, making the hard choice every single time. When I wake up, and I feel tired, I feel demotivated, the last thing I want to do is have a cold shower and get on the floor and start doing push-ups. But guess what? I do it every single time because I know that after doing that, I feel fucking brilliant. I always feel brilliant. I get out that cold shower, I'm like, bang, I'm so ready to just go and smash everything I have to do in the day. Every single time I do this morning routine because it's hard. And then you have that early win in the day. And then it just carries on into another streak of wins where you just keep on making progress. You go and hit a workout straight after. You have a healthy meal. You drink your protein shake. You see how this starts to build and implement into your day. The morning routine like this is so essential for the simple fact that it's hard. I don't care what you believe about the effects of cold water exposure, right? The fact is that it wakes you up and it makes you feel like a beast. I just feel super motivated every single time I get out that cold shower, even if I am tired. Because it's hard. That's the thing, it's just hard. And that's good, that's what we need. The second thing, the nighttime routine, which is slightly different. This is supposed to track progress and use the self-coaching frame. Now, if you're not self-coaching actively, then you're not making progress at all. You aren't, because you need to be actively reflecting on what is happening in your life, the way you're thinking about things, and almost step back and look at it from a third person point of view without emotion to make sure that you're honest with your progress, honest with your mindset development, honest with the way things are going in your life. And this self-coaching frame, where it's like every single day where I'm journaling, I'm writing down everything that I've done in the day. I'm writing down exactly how I feel about it, exactly how I feel about the progress, is so essential to developing your mindset that you have to do this every single day. I'm dead serious. If you want the system to work, this is exactly what you have to do. You have to do it every single day. And then after journaling, you're tracking your habit streaks for the day, for all of these that we're about to go through as well. So, and then another one of these habits you need to have every single day is studying. If you're in school, obviously you should still be studying every single day. If you're not in school, you should still be studying every single day. Because what studying every single day does is it puts you in a growth mindset. And when you're in a growth mindset, it doesn't matter what happens in your day, it still feels like you're in motion. And motion is so key. You have to constantly feel like you're in motion because motion equals motivation. The more progress you feel like you're making, the more motivation you'll have to keep on making progress. It's a self-repeating cycle. So this daily habit of study for the growth mindset is so important. I do it every single day. And for the exact same reason, daily audiobooks. Oh my God, this is such a secret weapon. I know I talk about not having some hack at the start, not having some super secret quick fix. Daily audiobooks are probably that. If there was going to be one, it would probably be that. Daily audiobooks literally completely changed my life because this is another method of study in itself, another method of daily study in itself. You know, if you read 50 audiobooks, maybe 3 of them will be life-changing, but those 3 will upgrade you so much to the point where you won't even care about having wasted your time on the other 47. Daily audiobooks that are focused on directional progress, so you need to be listening to audiobooks that are surrounding the topics that you're trying to learn about, like mindset development, like physique development, anything else you're trying to do in your life. These directional audiobooks are so fucking game-changing, I'm telling you. And I'm going to link this back now to inputs. Mental programming. When I feel shit, I'm having a bad day, I feel unmotivated, and then I listen to an audiobook. Oh my God. Instantly, I'm just programmed to move in a specific direction, to make specific progress, to go and hit a super good workout, to eat super well. Because I'm listening to someone program me to do it, program me to feel that way in active time. So powerful. You have to be listening to audiobooks every single day. And again, all of these things, along with any other habits that you want to implement, like you should probably be tracking what you're eating if you actually want to gain muscle, right? And we will go over the muscle system in a minute. Any other habits you want to track should be on here too. right? But these are the absolute essentials if you want to make self-progress. Now, stage 5, ridiculous levels of muscle gain simplified to baby terms. That's what we're going to go through. Now, the problem is you can have all of the motivation and consistency in the world, and you will probably get there eventually. You'll probably develop the physique eventually, even if you just have those as factors. But unless you know how to effectively train properly without sacrificing all of your hours in the week, you'll just be wasting your valuable time, and someone else who has less of a mindset than you will get ahead of you just because they know how to train properly. But you need both parts of the system for them to work cohesively. All right. I had to go and get a drink. So I'm going to break this down real simply. The 3 biggest things that you have to focus on if you actually want to gain muscle are intensity, overload, and form. That's it in your workouts. That's the only thing you need to focus on. Intensity. So I'm going to break down exactly what happens when you gain muscle. So there's a process called general adaptation syndrome. And what this means is that when your body undergoes stress, when your body feels like it's almost in danger, it's forced to adapt so that when it happens next time, you're safer and there's a higher chance of survival. This is a basic survival mechanism. We adapt to any stressor that our body endures so that we're safer from it next time. That's it. And so if you're going to workouts and you're just training lightly, you're just lifting some dumbbells, lifting some weights really lightly, and you're not actually trying that hard, nothing is going to happen. Your results will only reflect the intensity that you bring to your workouts. And that intensity level needs to be that you train really close to failure. Really close. Not necessarily hitting failure all of the time, but really close. And when I say failure, I mean you cannot lift the weight anymore. That's factor number 1. And that's the reason that we actually gain muscle in the first place, is stress response. That's it. Okay, so you need to bring intensity. Now, overload. As I said, with the general adaptation syndrome, when you adapt to a stressor, and in this case, the stressor being weights, using that same general adaptation syndrome thing I said before, you can't adapt to that same thing again, which means people can go super hard one week, but then if they just continue to do the same weight every single week, nothing is going to happen because they've already adapted to it. You constantly need to be upping the weight you're using every single week, basically, at the start. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. And this is the biggest issue, is that most people actually know this. They know that you need to keep on upping the weight as you keep on going, but they do it way slower than they actually could. And what's going to set you ahead of everyone else is basically upping the weight as often as you can get away with, like whilst still being safe. So at the start, I want you really to be upping the weight every single session. If you've never worked out before, you should be upping the weight every single session. Hell, I'm 4 years into training, right? I'm 4 years into training, and I still up the weight every single week. And most people would say that's crazy. They say, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that because you're too far into training, because what happens when you go into training is your rate of progress slows down and you can't up the weight so much. But I still up it every single week because I know how fast genetically I can progress. And this is what most people fail to do. If you're a beginner, you should be upping the weight every single session. This is the only thing that's going to set you apart from everyone else you see who's going in and using the same weights every single week. Notice I said upping the weight, not upping the reps, because that's going to be something slightly different, which I'm not even going to talk about in this video. The only other thing is form. Now, you can do both of these first two factors, but if you train like an idiot, number one, you're going to get injured. And number two, you won't see the actual results you want because form is really impactful. But the easiest fix to this is using machines over free weights, right? Because what machines do is they make it so that literally anyone who has never stepped foot in a gym before could probably do the exercise right if it's a good machine. Who's never had anyone show them how to use a machine before could probably do it pretty well, because machines are usually locked in place in how they can move. And this is really key, because something that happens, so remember we said intensity, right? A huge part of that intensity is your mind will actually limit the amount of force you can put through your muscles if the exercise is unstable. And so when you're using a machine, your mind isn't limited from the force it can put through your muscles. And so you get higher intensity easier with less risk of injury. That's it. You need to be using machines. I'm dead serious. If you go look at all of the biggest people in the world, most of the time they'll be using machines, unless they're old school idiots who are stuck in the 90s, right? And that's okay, no offense. Old school bodybuilding was a completely different thing. But now, we've gone over those three things. Now, the only program you will need to gain muscle effectively, if you do it properly and you bring intensity, you bring overload, and you bring form, is 3 sessions of full body doing five exercises, one exercise per muscle group, and 1 session which targets your weaknesses. What do you think your weakest muscle groups are? Do them more, right? And that's what this day is for. Now, if you're watching this video, you may have seen some other programs before, maybe push-pull legs program. That's quite common, right? I used to do that myself. Maybe an upper-lower program. That's also quite common. Better than push-pull legs. But the thing is, the only thing that you need to be thinking about, well, not the only thing, but a huge thing you need to be thinking about in your training is that frequency is everything. Let's say I have a program where on Monday I do chest, on Tuesday I do back, on Wednesday I do arms, Thursday I do shoulders, and Friday I do legs, and then I have 2 rest days. Sounds like a lot, right? But I'm only training each muscle group once per week, when it only takes each muscle group like 1 to 2 days to recover. You realize how much wasted time that is. You realize how much wasted rate of progression that is. You could be doing so much more in the same period of time, and you don't need an entire day for your chest. You don't need an entire day for your arms. So frequency of training your muscles is so much more important than just having an entire day for a specific muscle group. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, what are the specifics? Now, I want you to be doing 2 to 3 sets of 6 reps on each of these exercises on each of these days. That's it. And you need to be bringing it really close to failure, like we said in the intensity. That's it. 2 sets of 6 reps. And you might see programs say, oh, you need to go a lot higher reps. That's just completely not true. And I won't break down the science in this video, but trust me, it is not true. Now, the other thing is optimal recovery and diet. The thing you have to realize is that you're not growing when you're in the gym. Your muscles aren't growing when you're in the gym. What happens when you're in the gym is you put your body in a scenario where it's forced to adapt. And then all of the time that you're not in the gym is when that actually happens. So if anything, recovery is almost more important than the gym itself. You can't out-train a bad diet and bad sleep. You can't, right? Now I'm going to give you some specifics here. If you want to actually put on weight, like seriously put on weight, you need to bump up what you're eating immediately. I was speaking to a guy yesterday and he was like, oh, but I just don't want to do it. It's so hard. I get it. I've been there. You feel like shit. You feel low energy when you're trying to bump up what you're eating every day, right? But it's almost like something that you train as well. Like you don't just instantly go up to a huge amount of calories every single day, but it's something that you slowly increase over time, right? But what I want you to do is go on BMR calculator. Search up on Google BMR calculator. Put in your body weight and your age and your height. Work out what your BMR is. This is basically your basal metabolic rate. It's the amount of calories that you burn every single day just from being alive, right? And then it will show you an estimate of how much that will be, including all of the daily activities that you do, right? Find this number based on the estimate of how many calories you're actually burning every single day, the one that includes your daily activities. and add about 200 calories to it. That's it. Add 200 calories to it and consume that every single day in balanced foods, because remember we talked about inputs. If you eat like shit, you'll feel like shit. I'm not just talking about muscle gain. If you eat like shit, you'll feel like shit. So make sure you're eating that amount of calories in balanced foods and protein, right? Which is a huge part of muscle growth. The second most important macronutrient under carbs, you need to be eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and that's it. If you do this properly, as I've stated, there is no way that you will not completely transform yourself. I'm dead serious. Quicker than everyone else around you. Quicker than everyone else around you. The thing is, this system literally works for everyone. Sometimes you actually just need to go all in on your goals, unless you're happy staying with where you are. And guess what? The high visions that you have right now will not go away unless you take action. In fact, they'll just sit there and haunt you forever if you don't. I'm telling you because I sat on them for ages. And the other thing you have to keep on telling yourself, I have nothing to lose, but I have everything to gain. Everything. If you're at a low right now, you have nothing to lose, but you have everything to gain. And now that you understand just how well this system works, I have an offer for you. If you right now are helplessly inconsistent and always have highs and lows in motivation, you're stuck in a cycle of no results and low self-belief, you're tired of your current physique and the way of thinking you have, and you know you need to take action and build a mindset and body that provides every result you want, program yourself in a way that turns you into an effortlessly disciplined man and guarantee that you completely transform and embrace a new self-identity. I will directly inject this system into your life to guarantee this result with 1-to-1 direct implementation in just 90 days. And I am so confident in how well this system works that if you don't achieve your goals in the 90 days, you'll get the whole thing for free. 90 days of both of our time for completely free, just because I have that much confidence in the system. If you are actually ready to take action, book a call with me with the link in my description and we'll see if you qualify to join my program. I'll see you soon, bros.